In '77, I got a job at a restaurant on Duval Street, and there was a guy there named Calvin who was a local guy, a conch. That's what people from Key West are known as. Conchs. Looks like conch when you read it, but it's not. Anyway, Calvin came in with a bag of grouper one day, and he'd been out fishing, which was fantastic because you can't get any fresher than that. And he said something I don't think I'll ever forget. He said, "Everybody loves grouper. Everybody loves grouper, man. It's the chicken of the sea." And he's right. It's simple, it's straightforward, it's delicious. Everybody loves grouper. Sometimes a tourist spot and a local spot are the same spot. That is the case with B.O.'s Fishwagon. Every time I come to Key West, I make it a mission to be here. Hi, how are you today? How you doing today?
Hey, how's it going, man?
Good, thanks. We'll do a fried grouper, traditional.
Sure.
Yep. The sandwich.
Absolutely. All the way.
Yeah, all the way. All the way. So, tradition. You have a few traditions when you come to Key West. If you're like me, one of them is going to be B.O.'s Fishwagon, which has been on this corner for umpteen years. And even before this corner, they were over on another corner. They have history. B.O. stands for Buddy Owens, and Buddy was pretty much a great high school athlete. Went to school at high school in Key West, and my wife Janet waited on him many times at the top, because who wouldn't get parched manning probably the first food truck, maybe ever. Certainly the first food truck I ever went to. People sometimes when they see me in a place like this go, "Oh wow, chef, really? Something as simple as this?" I'm like, precisely because it's as simple as this. Delicious doesn't have to be difficult. I heard a little soundbite from Keith Richards from the Rolling Stones, and famously compared to the Beatles, two great bands. The Beatles, noted for their complexity. The Stones, noted for their hard rocking blues. Some might argue that that's simple music. Well, Keith said it very well. He said, "We've been doing this for 60 years, mate. We must be doing something right." Case in point, delicious does not have to be difficult. Here's the evidence. Edible evidence. Super crisp, super fresh, local fish. The way Buddy's been doing it for, 40 years maybe. Now, if you can swing it, by all means, somehow or another get to Key West. Plane, car, boat, swim, jet ski, get over here and come to B.O.'s, because the locals come here too, folks, which is evidence that it really means something, because this is a fishing paradise. Now, if you can't get to Key West, let me show you how to make a version of this in your home. Now, Buddy, like many people in the Keys and Key West, they deep fry it. We're gonna do ours on the griddle. Just got some nice sea salt here and freshly cracked black pepper. I'm gonna take some canola oil, get it on the griddle. You can use a saute pan too if you don't have a griddle. You know what? I'm gonna put a little bit of olive oil on here just to give that little richness. And now this is nice and hot. So really it's quite simple. What we're doing here is we're cooking with sudden heat. When you cook a braise, that's the opposite. Sudden heat is like grilling, stir frying, that's sudden heat. Griddle cooking on a high heat like this is sudden heat. You want to get that surface nicely caramelized, set the flavors. You notice that I'm not grabbing the spatula and moving it around, because the griddle is going to kind of hold on to it for 30 seconds and then it's going to let it go so we don't rip the fish. While that's working, I'm going to take just a basic hamburger bun, and you can use whatever you like. You can use roasted garlic oil, you can use clarified butter. I have some Spanish olive oil, which I love. And I'm gonna toast this, but not quite yet. And here, if you wanna look at this, this is very simple. I've got some lemon. Lemon always goes great with a fish sandwich. Cut it however you want. You can get rid of the seeds, or you can just squeeze them through your fingers so they don't get the seeds in their mouth. Classic tartar sauce and some spicy pickles. That's all you need for that. Oftentimes people ask me what I look for in terms of the qualities for cooks. And really, it's not the fastest. It's certainly not the most glib, not the most versed in what is the cutting edge. Who watched what on TikTok, who knows how to make a foam, who has been here or there or aspires to go here and there. They may know the words of famous restaurants. Those are good things. But really, it's sometimes the quiet ones that you have to listen to yourself. The thoughtful ones, the ones who come back the next day and ask a question that shows me they've been thinking about this overnight. And not to show off to me. They're really looking for answers for themselves, the long term. I mean, really, when chefs come to me and work for me, I want the ones that, when I ask them, what do you want to be doing 5 years from now? Oftentimes they say, I want to do what you're doing. I want my own place. And then I feel like I owe them whatever I can give them, whatever I can give them in terms of expediting their training. So let me say to you at home, if you want to be a great cook, be a thoughtful cook. You'll be on your way. Give it about 90 seconds and then take a look. Beautiful color, nice, golden, simple crust. I didn't put any breadcrumbs on this because I just wanted the simplicity of the grouper, the purity of the grouper. Sometimes people will look at me make a dish like this, which they don't often, I guess, see me make a dish like this, at least not in the restaurant, and go, that's it? Yeah, that's it, because you really want the grouper to be the star of the show, not a whole lot of other things. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm gonna do another grouper in another way that's gonna have more window dressing, if you will, but this one, straight ahead. Fish is gonna be cooked. Got my burger bun. Put that on here. Let that get a little toasty. Tartar sauce, pickle, lemon. You wanna go all out, get a bag of chips. I don't mind. Fish sandwich, I mean, I can't remember the first time I had a fish sandwich, but more importantly, I want to have another one and another one and another one because I love them. I love to go to those places in the Keys, not only Key West, but as you drive down Keys, you could stop at, I could give you the names of maybe 50 places and get yourself an incredibly good, simple fish sandwich like this. Oftentimes they'll do a different species, it depends on what they're catching. Let that set for a moment. But place after place after place, you get something as simple as this. Have yourself a draft beer, look out at the ocean, and you know that you're living a life that many people only dream of. Now on to our second version. We'll take our fish. Let me show you a little something about grouper. It can be a firmer, more muscular fish, and so you've seen people take like veal, for instance, and take a hammer and beat it down. Well, I often take the heel of my hand like this and just give that a couple whacks to make sure those textures are going to be a little softer. Then again, salt and pepper. Lay down that foundation. And then this time, we didn't do that for the previous more simple one, but this time I was going to take some Italian parsley and generously put that on the fish. It looks like a lot, but parsley is very, very delicate, and it's going to create this herbaceous note to the fish you're going to like quite a lot, just like that. And if you want to do this in advance, let's say you're going to have a party at your house, you can set these up, put them in the refrigerator, and come back to them an hour later, and then slap them on the griddle or wherever you're cooking them. Get this going too. And leave that be for a few minutes. parsley's gonna sizzle, but it won't burn. We have to worry about that. All right, now we're gonna put together a little special tartar sauce, if you will, with a product from Bolivia. It's a, I don't know, if you think of pesto, I think you're gonna feel like you're sort of in that range, but this is made with a chili, a derivation of the rocoto chili. It's called rocoto pubescens. And that word pubescens is purposeful because it's named for the hairy leaves that are on the plant of the chili. If I couldn't find this one, I would just look to do a tartar sauce with some hot sauce and maybe some herbs like cilantro, if you like cilantro. Again, this is, you're not going to add a whole lot of this because it's got some kick. It's got the rocoto chilies in it. I just think it's fun, and I go to the store and I go to the markets or even online, and I see things, even I'll see a YouTube video or something, I'll see something and go, this chef from so and so somewhere is using this, and I'll try and buy it because I want to continue to educate myself as to the different flavor profiles I can give my food. Okay, so that's working. Let's take a look at our fish now. Beautiful. That's going to be done in just another 30 or 40. Now the name for this particular sandwich in Spanish is a montadito. Think about mont, like mounting something. So it's an open face sandwich. And it's a knife and fork sandwich, if you will, too. Spanish olive oil, Spanish word. Little theme going here. We toasted our bun for the other sandwich. We're toasting this piece right here. And our tartar sauce is ready. We've got some pickles. If you want pickles, serve them on there. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move the fish over, away from the direct heat now, because I know it's cooked. It's that time of year for heirloom tomatoes, so of course I'm going to work them into a lot of dishes. These happen to be 2 different varietals, which is kind of fun. And then we'll come over here. We don't want to get our bread wet. And we're going to put down our tartar sauce, a Bolivian influenced tartar sauce. Put that right here. Take our salt. We always salt tomatoes. It's imperative to put salt on tomatoes, and don't be afraid to put it on there even a half an hour before you need it. Really heightens the flavor of your tomatoes. Now this will seem a little bit more difficult, but that's kind of what I wanted to do, is contrast the straight ahead one, the one I grew up eating in Key West, or grew up as a young long hair, and with this one. So I'm gonna go ahead and place that on this. I like that. It's even sticking up. I got some greens, and again with the olive oil, not much. Now the word salad actually comes from the word sell, comes from the same word as salt. So when you put together a salad, salt is always going to be an aspect of it. That was some ice cubes that were down there to keep it nice and cool while we're working outside. And I want a little form of acidity, so lemon's going to make it happen while I'm squeezing. And then some fresh greens, a little mixture here. This is called a spring mix. So we got a few different colors. Let pop nice and high, like so. And here's grandma and here's granddaughter right here. The through line this is that the grouper is going to shine in both cases. This one, childhood memories, the first days of fish sandwiches in Key West or wherever you happen to be. Maybe it's the Eastern Seaboard. Maybe it's out in California. This one, it's like, I've used my imagination more. I'm doing something that is a little bit more ornate, but still not the point to obscure the fish ever. Either way, I hope you'll enjoy it. All right, let's give this guy a bite. Oh my God, so delicious, so old school. The first fish sandwich I ever had, I was probably 19 in Key West, that is. That's what it was all about. Sorry, so good, I just have to taste it. But there it is, no reason to not still love that. Now, compared to this one, she might look like the prom queen, but this girl next door is still a beautiful one too. And we did this together, so I know you can do it without me when you're home and you're cooking for your friends and your family. Just serve it with like maybe a serrated knife so you can cut through, a fork. I'm gonna use this big chef's knife. And I'm just gonna cut down into it. I told you it would be a mess, and it's gonna be a mess. The grouper is still the reason we're cooking here today. Get a little bit of the bread and fish, and if you can do it without making that happen, just like so. Love that tomato. Open-faced, montadito, layers, construction. You're building something. It's fun to look at. It's beautiful. And this is something like it really is not much to look at, but the taste is what you're going to remember. And at the end of the day, it's really not about beautiful looks. It's about beautiful memories. This one will take you there too. This is sunset at Mallory Square. The noise in the background, people beginning to celebrate. It'll get louder, trust me. Looking at the boats on the horizon and heading in different places. This takes me back to a time when I was working at a restaurant here called Louis' Backyard, and I was sitting on the after deck, which looked out over the Gulf of Mexico, just around the corner a little bit. And one morning, I was there with my books and a coffee and thinking about today's specials. And then I saw this boat come into view, and I became quiet and mesmerized thinking about the people on that boat and where they might be going and what was with their lives at that time. And I began to realize they're probably going to Cuba. And then I thought, what will they eat when they get there? And I began to realize that what I needed to do was to fold up my books and stop cooking other people's food and figuring out what my voice in American cuisine was. And here in Key West, it became this matrix of different cultures: Conch, Cuban, Haitian, Bahamian, the Old South. All of these things began to commingle together, and I finally hammered out my own vision. Thanks to the people on that boat that morning, paying attention, being able to be quiet and think about a new future. So I submit to you, let's stop trying to gain attention and start paying attention.